You've done the work, you've done the vision boards, the mantras, the morning routines, and you've definitely done the grind. You've ticked every box that they said would lead to your dream life, but instead of feeling fulfilled, well, it's just left you feeling tired, right? Like maybe you built a life that you thought you should want, but not the one that actually lights you up. But what if you didn't have to push so hard? What if the path to your dream life was easier, not because you did less, but because it was finally aligned? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Hi, I'm Janet Mohapi-Banks, and I'm a best-selling author of my book, The Habits for Happiness, and I'm a transformational happiness coach for high achievers and soul seekers who wake up feeling empty despite their outward success. So if you'd like a taste of how my work can help you too, I invite you to join me in my free 14-day mini course, Rewire Your Brain for Happiness. The link is in the description. Okay. So let's be honest, hard work has gotten you really far, right? You're not somebody who sits around waiting for things to happen. You're proactive, you're very capable and incredibly driven. But you've probably already noticed that effort alone doesn't get you the life that you actually want. Because when the work is disconnected from who you really are, you start building success that looks good on paper, but that quietly drains you every single day. And the hardest part is that you can't even complain about it because technically you have everything, right? You've done what you were supposed to do, but underneath the surface, you're wondering why it still doesn't feel right. Yeah, that was completely my story too. I ran a business that hit all of the right external markers. I had the clients, the recognition, the income, etc. But I was pushing myself to the edge every single day. And even though it was, working, it never really felt good, never felt mine, because I'd been creating from my conditioning and not from my inner core, from the beliefs that I was told to have, but not from the desires that I actually cared about. What I learned through personal burnout, deep healing, and years of study is that you can't manifest your dream life successfully with the mindset that brought you the earned success that you have, right? That's the kind of success that has you working all the time and proving that you're deserving and worthy of the success that you've got. But what a lot of high achievers do when they move from the hustle and into manifestation is that they either carry that hustle energy with them and do meditation, do affirmations, and do manifesting like it's a regimented job, or they throw everything out of the window and try sitting on a beach in Bali and opt out of doing absolutely everything but maintaining their vibe, right? Neither of these things are going to get you the life that you want. And that's because manifestation isn't about doing nothing, like aligned action is most definitely needed, but it's also not about doing the tools. Yeah. Manifestation is about allowing and receiving. So it's not about efforting your way into a vision. It's about becoming the version of you who naturally receives everything that you want, right? And here's the truth that almost nobody tells you. You can't manifest a dream life from a nervous system stuck in survival. Yeah, you can't magnetize abundance while your body is bracing for collapse. And you definitely can't align with peace and joy if your brain is wired to expect stress. This is why manifestation without integration rarely works. Using all the manifestation tools like meditation, scripting, gratitude practices, etc., well, you might get temporary results, but I guarantee that they won't stick because your identity hasn't caught up with your desires. And that's where neuroscience, psychology, and spirituality come in, which is why I teach all of this, not as separate ideas, but as one unified system that supports the whole of you. Neuroscience helps you to understand how your brain is pattern-based. Yeah. And unless you consciously rewire it, it will just keep repeating the past. That's because your brain uses your past experiences to influence your future reactions. So if your default setting is you must work hard to prove your worth, you'll keep manifesting situations that require you to work hard to be seen. That's not just an idea, it's a biological loop. The reticular activating system, or the RAS, filters incoming information based on what you believe to be true. Your brain is basically a make it true machine, and it will do everything it can to prove you right. So if you believe that success requires struggle, your RAS will literally block out all opportunities that feel too easy. Not because they're not there, but because ease doesn't feel familiar enough to be registered as important or even safe. The nervous system follows that same logic. It prioritizes what's familiar and not what's best for you. So even if your conscious mind says, I want freedom, ease, joy, and expansion, your body might still be stuck in the old loops of contraction and hypervigilance. This is why the work has to happen at every level and not just on your mindset. And this is why I incorporate so much psychology in my work. Psychology shows us how those beliefs got there in the first place and how to rewrite them, yeah? From the school systems that rewarded perfection, to the homes where peace and stillness was called laziness, to the workplaces that glorified burnout as a badge of honor. As a high achiever, I know that you're not afraid of effort, but you might be afraid of what it means if you stop. Because so many of us were conditioned to believe that our value is in what we produce. So even when you want ease, you don't fully accept it or trust it. And you don't allow yourself to rest because it makes you feel anxious. So even when your body says, I need a different way, your mind is probably saying, just keep going, right? That internal split is what keeps manifestations stuck, because half of you is asking for change, but the other half is clinging to the safety of what you've always known. Spirituality is what allows you to transcend that split. It's what reconnects you to a sense of self that isn't defined by achievement. That connection to your highest is what reminds you that you can want more without needing to be more to deserve it. And that's where things really start to flow. Because when you trust your desire, when you believe that what you want is meant for you, and when your nervous system finally feels safe enough to actually let it in, the dream life you want to manifest becomes inevitable. This is what I mean when I say that alignment creates more than force ever could. In my own life, once I made that shift, I began manifesting opportunities and relationships and results that were completely out of reach when I was just pushing for it, right? Not because I stopped working, but because the work became aligned with my truth instead of my fear. And that's the same for many of my clients too. Things that once felt like uphill battles begin to unfold naturally. They stop trying to convince the world of their value and start becoming the person who owns it effortlessly. And like I say, that shift really does change everything. Because your dream life isn't a finishing line, it's a frequency. And when your thoughts, your body, and your energy are all aligned with it, it stops feeling so very far away. And this isn't abstract. This shows up in everyday ways. Because when your RAS shifts, you see different opportunities, you see different options, you notice new pathways, right? That meeting that you previously would have skipped, well, you suddenly feel pulled to actually go to it. And that message that you were going to ignore, you actually open it and read it. And all of that leads to the clients, the contracts, the opportunities that were always there, but now you're finally able to receive it. And that's not luck, that's neuroplasticity in action. That's aligned manifestation. And it's why I created my free 14-day mini course, Rewire Your Brain for Happiness. It's a real entry point into how to shift your internal reality so your external life can finally catch up. We're not visualizing from pressure or scripting from lack. We're getting underneath the resistance and recalibrating how your brain, nervous system, and energy field relate to receiving. If that sounds like something that you know you need, it lives inside my school community that's called Manifesting Your Happiest Life. And again, you'll find that link in the description. Because, like I say, manifestation isn't about sitting back and hoping. It's about matching the internal conditions of you to the external life that you want. It's about choosing coherence instead of chaos and allowing ease to become your new baseline and not just a reward. So yes, you can absolutely manifest your happiest dream life, but not by chasing it, but by becoming the match to it. Let me take this one step deeper before we wrap up, because this is the part that often gets missed. Your subconscious doesn't respond to your goals. It responds to your identity, to your patterns and your emotional baseline. It responds to what feels normal, safe, and expected. That's why you can want something with your whole heart, but still sabotage getting it the moment it shows up. It's because your subconscious still sees the old patterns as home. So when something new arrives, something like ease, love, time, freedom, or even financial overflow, your system registers it as unfamiliar. And unfamiliar is often misinterpreted as unsafe. So without even realizing it, you pull away, or you go back into that habit of overworking and trying to push it over the line. And when you notice that you're doing that, that's not a failure, that's a signal. And it's an invitation to get curious and rewrite what you've been calling normal. Because manifesting your dream life isn't about thinking bigger, it's about normalizing that bigger and better and more. Yeah? Not in a superficial, just expect it way, but in the way that you breathe, move, relate, and respond. You become the version of yourself who knows that good things happen to you just because you want them to, and not because you're proving your worth or working really hard for it, right? And when that knowing lives in your body, you don't need to chase outcomes anymore. They start arriving because they match your new frequency. This is when the success that you've been working for really starts feeling as good as it looks. Now, if you haven't seen it yet, I recommend watching my video about ease and alignment. It breaks down why so many high achievers unknowingly block their manifestations by resisting rest, even though it's often the very portal that leads you to your next level. So click there to watch that now. I look forward to seeing you in my community, and if I don't, well, just know that you've got this, and I'll see you next time. Bye.